Testing 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3.
Six o'clock, and all's well. 6 o'clock and all's well. Oh yeah. I don't strike fear in anybody, obviously. Bring this meeting to order, February 21st at 6:01. We'll do the prayer. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. Near interest, nothing comes back up. Chris has to clean on that. Okay, we're good. All right. Public meeting.
We're here today to discuss a zoning bylaw for 502 Graham Street. If any person or public body does not make an oral submission at the public meeting or make written submissions to the Township of Whitewater Region before the bylaw is passed, the person or public body is not entitled to appeal the decision of council to the Ontario Municipal Board. The person or public body may not be added as a party to the hearing of an appeal before the OMB unless, in the opinion of the board, there are reasonable grounds to do so. The property in question is located at 502 Graham Street. The purpose of this amendment is to rezone 502 from Community Facility, CF, to Residential 1, Exception 7, R1E7, and lots 4 to 7 inclusive on Plan 60, and lots 205 to 208 inclusive on Plan 151, Geographic Village of Westmeath, from Community Facility CF to Residential 1 R1. All other provisions of the zoning bylaw will apply. Notice of the public meeting was provided by regular mail and posted. The planning report had favorable comments. There were no concerns raised by municipal departments, and no written comments were received from public bodies or the public in advance of the meeting. This time, Mr. Mayor, I'd ask if you want to ask if there's anybody here to speak in favor or against the proposal.
Have we got anybody from the public that wants to speak against this or for this? Seeing nobody, we shall... You want to speak for it or against it? Either one, but you have to come up. All right, there's the people. You're the people, right? You're just okay. No, I'm just looking because so we don't have anybody from the public speaking for it or against it. So that's good.
So under
Any questions from council? Councillor McLaughlin.
I just wondered if Doug had any information on this property.
committee item.
Yes, there's some stuff coming up at committee that we'll talk about at that time. It's the old Westmead School, and they want...
Under Section 3411 of the Planning Act, if council decides to refuse an application or refuses or neglects to make a decision on an application within 120 days, the municipal clerk receiving the application, the applicant, or the Minister of Municipal Affairs may appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board. Under Section 3419, not later than 20 days after giving notice of passing the bylaw, the applicant or any person or public body who made oral submission at the public meeting or made written submission to council before the bylaw was passed, or the Minister of Municipal Affairs may appeal to the Ontario Municipal Board. That concludes the public meeting, Mr. Mayor.
That concludes the public meeting. Moving on. That is that's it for me for a while. Okay, community services, right? Oh, announcements. Oh, yeah, announcements first. Announcements, Councillor McLaughlin.
Well, if you'd like to play trivia on Friday night, there's trivia at the Haley's United. There's trivia at the Agricultural Hall on Friday night. I think there's a bid euchre tournament Saturday afternoon at the Agricultural Hall. But more important than that, there's a benefit dance or a benefit party for Steve Woods, one of our former firefighters, at the Legion on Saturday night, be March the 3rd. And also then, I think that's the weekend of the Westmeath Carnival. So we'll be busy.
Yes, indeed. Councillor Olmsted.
Yeah, no announcements, thank you.
Councillor Jackson.
Tomorrow night at 6:30 is the Muskrat Watershed Council meeting. It's open to the public, and of course we're always looking for more volunteers, so everybody is more than welcome to come out. I encourage council to come out at some point. It would be nice to have another councillor show up at these Muskrat Watershed Council meetings so that you can understand it better. And it's here, it's downstairs, 6:30. You're more than welcome to come out, and I'm sure they would appreciate more council to show up. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor McKay.
Yeah, I got a few things here. I was brought to my attention that the dock in Westmeath, there in La Paz, is in poor condition. The light doesn't work there anymore, and the lady was telling me that she wouldn't mind to see a porta potty there, because the summer is pretty busy, but the dock is in very bad condition. And when we're doing that, we might check Westmeath's dock too. Okay, that's number one. Number two, there's a new law in Edmonton. It's called Emily's Project, and they're putting 911 signs on farm properties. This little girl was lost apparently, and I thought we could look into that. And the last thing I'd like to talk about is another complaint I had is road allowances that are closed when people want access to the river. Like they don't have to be maintained, just that they could get to the river, and there's a bunch of them that are closed off, and I'd like to see about opening them up.
Can I get you to bring those two items back up under notice of motion? Oh, sorry, all three.
I can't wait.
All three.
I can't wait.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Mackay. Councillor Regier.
I have nothing at this time, thank you.
Reeve Miller.
I have nothing either at this time.
Okay, on March 1st, there is a telethon in support of the Pembroke Hospital. And I will be manning one of the phones from 2 to 4. Or maybe 2 phones, depending. So I'm putting the challenge out to everybody that's watching on camera, everybody in this room. It's a very valuable hospital in our community, and we need to support it, and I'm going to put a challenge out to each councillor here. Thank you. And if you want to help the challenge, it's going to be a challenge. I will probably do it right on TV too.
What's the challenge?
Oh, to donate money.
How much?
I would say $100 each would be just about right. Okay. Challenge is $100 for each councillor, and thank you. Now we're moving on. Oh, I see. Yeah. No, you have to phone in. That's the trick. You phone in.
Okay, we'll bring the building and property meeting to order at 6:10. We have one item. Zoning and deeming bylaw 502 Graham Street, Pure Neck. A recommendation that the Building and Property Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region enact bylaws to amend bylaw 98-13 for the property municipally described as of subdivision. Okay, get a mover and a seconder. Moved by Councillor Rieger, seconded by Councillor Mackay. And maybe to you, Doug?
Yes, so when we started this with the county as the planning stuff, the building is quite large, but the people only want to have three units or 3 dwelling units on it. So we had to look into the septic a little bit, and it showed that the septic could only have a maximum occupancy of 16 people. So the zoning reflects that the maximum occupancy is 16 people, and so will be the drawings for the bedrooms and that when they do it. The township, they also wanted a township site plan control that just says that that can only have 3 units there, because once you go over that, and it'll show the parking and stuff like that. We do have there's a road allowance there that there is a play structure on from the school, and it's on our road allowance, so we have to deal with that at some time too, whether it stays there or whether we want it off. But right now, the zoning amendment will control the number of people that stay in the place. If they want to go bigger than that, they're going to have to put in a different septic system, and the other thing is the site plan will control what goes on there.
Okay. Any further discussion on that from anyone? Councillor Jackson?
Where is the playground located on there?
Playground is located right about there.
It's just a basketball net?
Yes, there is.
Okay, and it's a dead end, is it not?
It is a dead end.
Right, but it's been there forever?
Forever.
So just one thing, it's not, we don't own it, it was part of the sale. It is on our road allowance. Although it is a dead end, it leads to a field that is currently zoned rural, so should there ever be village expansion but the issue of whether or not to close the road allowance is not before you today.
No, I
But the
understand that.
But the site plan would help address, egress either from that road or from the existing parking lot at the back. But it's something that at some point in time we will have to address, because it's not owned by us, the structure, but it's on our land, and whether or not the owners of the property want to allow public access to it. So there's some issues we need to clarify as we move forward.
Yes, and then if for whatever reason we need to open that street, then that be dealt with at that time, but other than that, I think it should stay.
Councillor Mackay?
Is the portable still there?
Yes, the portable's gonna be 1 unit.
Okay. Oh, it's gonna be a big house.
Councillor McLaughlin?
I'm just a little bit confused on the septic system, because is that the old septic system from the school?
Yes, it's the old septic from the school, and they had an engineer firm come in and do a study on it. And the engineer firm come back and said, look at, this is the amount of people that could live in this place and not have to do anything to the septic system, so they agreed that they would be fine with that.
Okay, I just was concerned because I was sure there was like 100 kids there at one point.
There probably was.
Hey?
There probably was.
But I'm not an engineer, so
That's right.
I wouldn't argue with the engineer.
Anything else? Councillor Rieger?
Just a comment that it's nice to see that this building will be utilized, and it's exciting that this is gonna evolve to something. Thank you.
I agree totally. Anything further? Seeing none, we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? It's carried. And that concludes building and property.
Good night.
First portion of the meeting. Item A, Community Services Storage Container. Request for quotation 2018-02. Can I get a mover? Councillor Rieger, seconder Councillor Jackson. Sorry? Yeah, I'll go ahead and read it. The Community Services Committee recommend Council Township of Whitewater Region award request for quotation 2018-02 to 665952 Ontario Inc. Beeline Records for the purchase of a storage container at the cost of $8,176.43 after the HST rebate. Do you want to speak to this, or Janet?
I can speak to this. Actually, we have a second report that will be coming forward to Physical Services exactly the same. We closed a number of tenders last week. So this is for a used container. We're understanding that they're in excellent shape. It is 4 compartments inside with 4 sliding doors, so we are both looking for the same product. We will look at our surfaces, probably putting some granular down ourselves and some cottage blocks to place them on, just to maintain them into lifting it and placing it. We don't have a crane. Our excavator isn't large enough, so we'll need something larger. So it's basically an all-inclusive project with the exception of cottage blocks.
Where will it be kept?
This is the community services one. We've been tossing it around a little bit. There is a concept to place it across the road at the old garage property across from Mindview. But if prior to its delivery, we'll find out and ensure council is informed of that and give it council an opportunity if they don't like the location. Ours, physical services, will be going at the garage.
Okay. Any questions, comments? Councillor McLaughlin, sorry.
I I'm just wondering, has anybody went and looked at these, or?
I believe Randy has gone to look at them. I know he has spoken to the gentleman about them, and they're at a school presently, so I assume they're under a lease type agreement right now. So they're quite happy with the condition they're in.
Well, as long as somebody has inspected the condition, like one of our employees have inspected them to make sure that it was proper.
I can ensure that we do that before I provide a letter of award.
That's exactly, I like that. Thank you.
5-footers or 20-footers?
40.
40-footers. Had to be close. Okay, that's good. A lot of room.
Yes. The compartments are excellent use of space. Just they allow us to divide our materials up, and they don't get all mixed in very quickly. I know one of our compartments will be for signs, as an example. So.
Councillor Rager, you were good, no? I didn't answer it. I think I asked it. Okay, seeing no further questions, we'll call for a vote. All in favor? That's carried. Second item, Community Services half-ton truck tender 2018-03. Recommendation that Community Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region award tender 2018-03 to Mac McKenzie Motors Limited for the purchase of a 2018 Chevrolet Silverado half-ton truck at a cost of $35,823.83, including HST. Do you want to take that one as well? Sorry, mover. Councillor Jackson, seconder, Councillor McLaughlin.
Okay, this is, again, we had two tenders. You'll see another one at Physical Services, slightly different vehicles for your information. With regards to the Community Services one, two tenders were received, the lowest being Matt McKenzie Motors. We did have the road supervisor as well as our mechanic come in and review the tenders front to back, make sure that they met sufficient or approved equivalent for all of our standards. So we are recommending award. After HST rebate, we will actually see a savings from the capital of just over $7,000, $7,700. It is written in a format that it includes HST, and the resolution is that's typically the way those facilities like to see it, because they've got all their taxes broken up into different manners within their price.
Questions? Councillor Jackson?
So just a couple of questions. Obviously, this doesn't include the price of any stickers for the truck, radios for the truck, or GPS. Is that coming out of an old truck? Not the sticker, obviously, but the other equipment, is it coming out of an older truck and moving into this, or is there an extra cost above and beyond?
There would be some extra costs for the stickers, obviously. We don't have GPS. I think we only have one of our half-tons with it now, so we haven't been recording them. The GPS we use are typically for our sanding salting trucks, because we get a rebate under the fuel program.
Right.
So we, at this point, would not be looking at putting that in.
I don't think there's a radio or anything in the current truck.
Not in the, I won't even guarantee. I think it's been taken out of the Community Services one. I believe they just use phones.
And the services suffice by cell phones? Because we pay for the cell phones as well, do we not? Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Our radios actually do have locations. They don't work as well, depending on where you are, so.
Councillor McKay?
Where's this truck going? Who's this going to?
This truck is going to Community Services, so that would be Parks and Recreation, arenas. So they received last year truck number 7, which is the 2003 Ford from Public Works. So it would be surplus, and at a later time of year, we'll look at bringing back a surplus report to council with all of the equipment that we'll be looking at surplusing.
Okay.
Further questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that's carried. And we'll move on to corporate services.
Okay, we'll bring this corporate services meeting to order. I have a recommendation that the Corporate Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region enact a bylaw to adopt a revised health and safety policy which is to be reviewed annually, endorsed by the Mayor and CAO Jackson, seconded by Councillor Mackay. And I'll turn this over to Steve. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair. We currently have a health and safety policy which is posted on all our health and safety boards. It is endorsed by the CAO at present. This revised one will be endorsed by the CAO and the Mayor. Schedule A at the back of the corporate policy that's the actual component that is posted in each workplace, and it is to be reviewed annually. And so this is a revision of 2006's.
Thank you very much. Is there any questions or concerns for Steve? If not, then we'll call for a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. And is that it? Then I have a recommendation that the Corporate Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region enact a bylaw to adopt a revised workplace sexual violence and harassment policy which shall be posted in each workplace. Have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Jackson, seconded by Mayor Johnson. And Steve again.
Thank you. Again, just a revision, last done 2014, actually initially 2011, and the last revision was 2014. It's a few changes, but just updating.
Good. Any comments or concerns? Then I'll call for a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Next item, item C, a recommendation that the Corporate Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region direct the public notice be given for the potential commemorative naming of the tourist booth building at Veterans Memorial. Moved by Councillor Mackay, seconded by Reeve Miller, and I'll turn this over to Rob.
Thank you, Madam Chair. You'll recall that last July, Dean Suriel, who is the long-serving CAO here, had made a request to look at commemorative naming. At the time, Council directed me to look at a policy. So as we know, we're losing a number of our long-cherished serving volunteers, and we anticipate that there might be other opportunities to recognize their contributions to our community. So the draft policy came back last meeting and is on for final adoption today. And what we're doing at this time is coming back with the actual request. So the process is fairly simple. We receive an application. We make sure that it's valid, that the family has given permission. Then we bring it to Council to determine if you'd like us to proceed to public notice. So this is the step we're at. So we'll post it on our website for 10 days and we'll put it in a block ad, and then we'll come back after that to see if we got any public response. And at that time, Council will then make a final decision on the naming. So we did work on the draft wording for the commemoration that's been reviewed by Mrs. Cobb, but also the requester, Mr. Sorial. And we anticipate that should we receive broad public support for this, that we'll be able to unveil the official naming in May to coincide with the opening of the tourist booth. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
None at this time. I just want to add that this is a great honor, especially for art. I mean, it's been a part of here and a part of everywhere, so it's really great to see this brought forward. Okay, so if there's no other comments, I will ask for a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. Item D is a staff training day. I have a recommendation here that the Corporate Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region approve the closure of the municipal office on April 19th, 2018 for a staff training day. I have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor Mackay, seconded by Mayor Johnson. And Rob.
So you recall last year the Council gave permission to close the office for one day. to deal with a number of outstanding training issues, and it was a really good session in terms of health and safety. As you know, we did an internal health and safety audit, and we started with the awareness training that day. We also did some staff brainstorming on the vision and mission and some of the strategic goals that has helped in terms of some of the ongoing things we need to do. Although I'd like to do this on an annual basis, I understand the reticence to closing the office to the public, and we understand that this is a service disruption. I do feel, though, that we need to do one more for a few things. One, to do the next step in terms of health and safety. Now that we have the arena staff with us, they would take part in that session, so it would be the identification of hazards in the workplace and ways to mitigate them or eliminate them, which I think is pretty critical. You'll also recall that the Alzheimer's Society, we have a partnership with them in terms of being a dementia-friendly community, and this would allow us a time to train all our staff at the same time on that in partnership with the Alzheimer's Society. And then in addition to that, we need to do updates on accessibility and customer service training. There's some mandated training that has not been done in several years that needs to be done that we'll be able to do. And also some refreshers on just some conduct. So although we have some policies and the HR policies we inherited from the county, they're not really specific, and they haven't been updated in a long time. So this will be a good time to sit down with all of staff to develop the code of conduct, but also use it as a training an education session for them. Last year when we did close the office, we gave a lot of advance notice. We did not receive any complaints, and we would intend to do the same thing. And this fits well with what we're trying to do on a number of fronts in terms of compliance for accessibility, health and safety, but also the importance of the code of conduct, so we're very clear with our employees on our expectations of them. So if there's any questions, I'd be happy to take them.
Councillor Jackson.
I just want to reiterate my concerns that I said last year. I think last year the request was to close the office for 2 days, and we cut it down to 1. I agree that this one is needed due to the fact that we have the other staff from the arena participating now. If that weren't the case, I would say to close the office for a day of, so hopefully this is the last time, even though last year we had said it was going to be a one-time event. So hopefully this is the last time, and any other training would involve splitting the office up or staff up and having attendance at the office so we can answer the phones and address any issues that come through the door. So again, I want to reiterate that I hope it's the last time.
Councillor McLaughlin.
I'm just wondering, is the library involved in this as well, Rob?
We did invite them last year, and they did participate, and it's an opportunity for them. They don't necessarily have access to a lot of training opportunities, so it would be helpful from a customer service standpoint, accessibility, and the health and safety. Whether or not we develop a code of conduct and the library board adopts that code of conduct as well, but we would reach out to them to see if they would like to participate. We were also debating crossing guards, but just because of scheduling, it won't be possible, but we will have our arena staff mandated to attend along with roads, waste sites, and office staff.
Councillor Mackay.
When do you want to have this meeting?
April 19th.
So everything, the rinks will be all closed, everything will be closed? Okay.
Pardon?
The rink is normally closed at that time anyway.
Yeah. So are there
The townships now.
Mayor Johnson?
I believe firmly in having training courses for our staff, and I believe as many as can hear it at the same time is a good thing. But we can do splits also in the future. But I do agree it's key that our staff is all on the same page. So, and we can achieve that by splitting half. But I want to see us continue major trainings over 2 days with it open in the future.
Concerns? Councillor Olmsted?
Yeah, I'd agree with the mayor. In terms of health and safety policies, I think health and safety awareness has come a long way under this council, including reforming the policy. And with the workplace sexual harassment and violence policy, we see it every day in the news now. So I think it's very important for staff and the entire region to at least go over that probably annually, whether it be a split day or however we want to do that, but I think that has to be forefront for us going forward.
Thank you, I agree. Mayor Johnson?
Steve, what's the course, what is the course that the computer course that everybody's supposed to take that we haven't got everybody taking it? That's a 5-level,
It's supervisor health and safety and awareness in 5 steps on the Ministry of Labor website.
How many of council have you?
4.
Yeah, 4, okay. Because it's mandatory in the workplace in Ontario, and it's not a you should have it, it's a you have to have it. That includes council. So I just wanted to help Steve out in this way.
Thanks.
If you send that to me again, I'll do it.
Yeah, perhaps a reminder to those councillors that haven't done it, should be sent out.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Mayor. Any other comments or concerns at this time? Seeing none, then I will call for the vote. All of those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And that concludes our corporate... I have one more. Oh, sorry. Oh, I'm trying to get out of here. Sorry, our final item. Just waiting. Just having a little side conversations here. Are we ready? I have a final recommendation here. The Corporate Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of remuneration prepared by the Treasurer, and 2, enact an amending bylaw to clarify the remuneration paid to Council. I have a mover and a seconder, please. Moved by Councillor McLaughlin, seconded by Councillor Olmsted. And I'll turn this over to Rob.
So you have attached, as required by the Municipal Act, the statement of the remuneration received by council, including expenses. So that is provided. It has also come to our attention that there was an error in the bylaw in terms of when council reviewed council remuneration, we went to one all-encompassing honorarium that included chairing of meetings. But in preparation of the statement, it was determined that the 6 members of council, excluding the mayor, were getting the chair honorarium, which was a payroll mistake. So what we're doing at this time is amending the bylaw to reflect the fact that the honorarium has been paid. So what you see in the draft bylaw is the all-inclusive amount. So it's what you received last year with the addition of 1 point.
Councillor McLaughlin?
So, Rob, just for clarification, the amount was correct, it was just the way it was put down, or?
The bylaw was clear in terms of that the amount was inclusive of the chair honorarium. The unfortunate part was that, however, from a payroll perspective, it was paid as a separate amount.
Okay.
So when we prepared the statement, we noticed the error, so now we're correcting it.
Still haven't lost. Okay, yeah.
Any other comments or concerns?
But why is,
Oh, Councillor McLaughlin?
no,
Oh, no, we're good? Okay, then I will call for a vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you. And that does conclude corporate services. Thank you very much.
I'll bring the Fire and Emergency Services Committee meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the municipal response to, what does that stand for? Ministry of Community Safety and Correctional Services on the draft regulations. So the recommendation is that Fire and Emergency Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region direct the Fire Chief, CEMC, to provide feedback to the Ministry of the Community Safety and Correctional Services on the draft regulations. Do I have a mover? A seconder? Councillor Regier and Councillor Mackay. Chief Williker.
So thank you. So so after reviewing the proposed change to the response from AMO and the Ontario Association of Fire Chiefs, as well as I went to a meeting with the Renfrew County Chiefs, I think there's consensus that there just isn't enough information at this time to properly evaluate the impact to a department like ours. So I've proposed 4 recommendations. One, that the consulting period be extended to allow for proper analysis of financial and operational impacts. 2, that the proposed regulation implementation date be extended so that the Ontario Fire Marshal can ensure timely testing for all departments. Number 3, that the province provides funding to cover additional costs. And 4, that the province creates and provides training material and lesson plans appropriate to the needs of our volunteer fire department.
Is there any questions with regards to that? Any concerns at all? I think it's going to affect small municipalities drastically. Some of the full-time firefighters, firefighting departments in Renfrew County seem to be reasonably okay with it. However, they can do in-house training and all of that, but it's going to be a huge cost adjustment for the smaller municipalities with volunteer firefighters for timing, and you're going to have a hard time getting a volunteer firefighter, so after January 1st, 2019. So hopefully they take heed, and hopefully it's across the board when it comes to the recommendations by all fire departments, particularly volunteer firefighters. Any other questions, concerns? All those in favor? Carried. Yes, Councillor Olmsted?
I just had one comment for our new chief. We've been receiving the executive summaries after any incident, and I think that's been a fantastic addition. Gives us very quick knowledge rather than it displaces a lot of hearsay and gossip and that kind of thing. So I think we typically receive those day after or morning after an event, and I think they're fantastic. I'd wonder, is there any way that we can, or whatever, but what I like about it, it dispels a lot of rumors that are out there. I know, for instance, the fire that was just up here the other day, I guess the brewery last year had a bit of an April Fool's joke where they posted a sign, and so the other day that went viral. I must have seen that 15 times that was the current fire, which wasn't the case at all. So I appreciated receiving your report that said, and it was very minor, et cetera, whatever was in that report. But I'd like to maybe look at taking that a step further if there's something we can release to the public fairly quickly to say that dispels a lot of that.
I think some of the issue is that those emails are for confidential information for us, and unless there was some kind of a notice taking out confidential information that maybe Robin and Jonathan can work on, that can go out to the public, that can be tweeted or or whatever on Facebook as well, and perhaps Rob, you can speak to that.
And Jonathan, for sure. I know he's created a Twitter account, so he can speak to that. I know that Ottawa Valley Breaking News, and there's another one that follows the scanner, so people know right away. So yes, you're getting a level of information that does contain some confidential information, but Jonathan is articulate and can write, and once the incident is under control, it would just be summarizing some of that information. But I know if you want to speak more broadly about trying to get more information out to the public.
Yeah, no, so I agree. That initial summary is the intent is for internal use only, so that if you get questions from the public, you can answer them directly. But yeah, we could work on a format for a formal press release that we could get out. Probably not as quickly, because I am making those, I'm sending those emails almost right from my car when I can. But that's something we can definitely work towards.
Yes.
Just, just to be clear, I'm not looking for, a make-work project or anything, but I think, since Robert's come in, the information that goes to the public, we seem to be ahead of the game that dispels a lot of the gossip that used to be in the community. So I just like to be ahead of that curve is all I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. Question for you, Jonathan. What is the Twitter account that we should be looking at? Is it active now?
It is, and I'll be honest with you, I just have to get in the habit of posting things. But the intent is to post not only some minimum information about the scene, the fact that we're on scene, just so that the public's aware that there is an ongoing incident. I would also like to be tweeting out when our fire departments are out training, so if somebody wanted to go watch or they're aware, and then any events that the fire department associations may be involved in. So the address is at Fire Whitewater.
At Fire
Whitewater.
Whitewater. All one word.
All one word.
Perfect. I started to twit.
Maybe we all need a lesson on twitting.
It's not that difficult if I can do it. Mayor Johnson, did you have anything further?
I didn't, but I will. I've had a Twitter account for 4 years, and I have never twitted. Thanks, Jonathan. That's all I want to say.
Who's up next? Physical Services.
Okay, I'll call this Physical Services Committee meeting to order. The first item on the agenda, Rob?
County of Renfrew speed limit review, that Physical Services Committee receive this report for information purposes.
Any discussion? Mover? Moved by Councillor McKay. Could I get a seconder? Councillor Jackson? Discussion. No. Okay, I'll let Janet.
So the County of Renfrew every couple of years typically undertakes a full review of their speed limit bylaw in relation to the county roads, and each of the municipalities are provided with an opportunity to request any changes to that. At this time, staff are not recommending any changes to the speed zones. I have, however, provided a copy of the bylaw and a list of those to council. If any councillors wish to have a request, I would suggest that it be brought forward and potentially a motion made so that we're all on the same page, and I will see that that information gets to the county. The key being is it must be there by February 26th. I'm assuming if we're a couple of days late, depending on when their meetings are to be held, they may review it anyways, but no guarantee.
Any questions? If not, I will call for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Item B, garbage on the roadways.
That Physical Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region direct staff to 1, create a pamphlet to hand out to persons attending the landfill, and 2, undertake a review of the solid waste bylaw in 2018.
I need a mover. Moved by Councillor Rager, second by Mayor Johnson. Janet.
This came forward as a notice of motion as quite a bit of refuse or garbage was displaced, dropped, fell off a vehicle along the Queens line. We did locate the owner of that garbage and have provided an invoice accordingly. We have not heard back to date. That aside, it has become an ongoing issue, so staff are recommending at this time that we create a pamphlet or a handout that we will have at the landfill site to start providing to residents. We did check a couple of varied waste management bylaws, and we did not locate where they're requiring tie-downs. We're really suggesting that we monitor at this time, create the pamphlet, and throughout the spring and summer, we'd actually like to look and have a full review of our solid waste bylaw. And we'll bring any revisions back to council and/or if the issue continues to
Councillor Mackay.
It's more of a statement. I live along the road to the dump from, people go down my road, and I always find garbage. And yesterday I was coming out of Cobden, and somebody's going on the highway, they're going to the dump, and the big bag of garbage fell out in the highway. So I don't think we should give them much time. Just say, tie down your loads, and people that dump after a couple of weeks stop taking them. If it's not tied down, we don't want it. Put a tarp, piece of plywood, anything. Because it makes the place look bad, and it's, people know that stuff fell off, they just kept driving. Just saying.
Any other comments? I just have one, Janet. Are we going to, because I know that a lot of that was pushed into the snow. Will we be going back in the spring to?
Yes, we'll keep our eye on it. Although it is a county road, we'll go out and probably clean it up. We couldn't get most of it. It was buried.
Yeah.
So we will go definitely back in the spring and try and have a little cleanup.
Well, I'm sure that the neighbors would really appreciate that. But like Councillor Mackay, we could put out the pamphlets, see where that goes, and if this proceeds, then maybe we'll have to come back and readdress it. Anyway, if there's no other comments, I'm going to ask for a vote. All in favor of? Opposed? Motion is carried. Item 3, the storage container, Rob?
That Physical Services Committee recommend Council Township of Whitewater Region award request for quotation 2018-01 to 665952 Ontario Inc. operating as Beeline Wreckers for the purchase of a storage container at a cost of $8,176.43 after HST rebate.
Mover? Moved by Councillor Rager, second by Councillor Jackson. And Janet, I'll pass it over to you.
This is the second, very similar, actually exactly the same as the one that was informed of with regards to community services. This, we are also going to use a used container. Again, I will have staff attend prior to providing a letter of award. This container will be placed at the garage. We don't believe we'll need additional granular because it is going on to an area that has some old ground asphalt on it, but we will be purchasing some cottage blocks just to help maintain it. Again, 4 compartments, 4 doors.
Councillor Jackson.
Just a question. I know you, and I don't know if everybody else thought of it at the time, but you answered where this one was going, but where is the community services one going?
I indicated that I believe it is going to go at the old garage, like across from mine.
So the community services is going there as well?
The physical services is going at the Mindview garage.
Okay.
Community services is going to go across the road at the old property that we own, that we do lease garage.
The old, okay.
That I believe they keep the groomer.
Groomer, yeah.
So although I did indicate that if there's any difference, I will ensure that community services informs council and provides an opportunity to comment back if there's concerns with that.
Yeah, it just seems for that location, if they're going to store the stand-up boards and all of that for the lending hub, it seems a little far away from any waterway, so that's all I have to say. It'd be nice to have it where and if we have staff at any of the beaches, like, you know, the Beachburg one or...
And I do know they've
Cobden
tossed around a couple of ideas. That was just one of the locations. That's why I said I'll make sure that community services provides council with where they truly are planning on placing it and provide an opportunity to comment back. So regardless if it is going there or somewhere else, I know they've had a few discussions. It's just Jordan could not be with us tonight, so I can't confirm it.
I think it's mostly for off-season storage, so we're still trying to figure out the best way of deploying the lending hub. As you know, we did get some grant money for Little Lakes and whether or not that could be part of it, and how we would split the boards. So I think this is yes for the boards and the lending hub, but also any other kind of storage because with inheriting the 3 arenas, there are some storage issues at each of the facilities, so the 4 compartments would be used for various necessary. We're hoping that the lending hub, though, will be fully deployed with the assistance of our summer staff that the summer students will be hiring this year.
Okay, any other questions? Then, so Janet, you're going to, or somebody will come back and tell us where it is going before it's placed?
Absolutely. I will ensure that an email is provided to all the council and with sufficient time that if there's concerns, it can be brought back to council.
Okay, I think, does that answer, your concerns? Okay, then I will call for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is the half-ton truck, Rob.
That Physical Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region award tender 2018-02 to Blue Mountain Chrysler Limited for the purchase of a 2018 Ram Quad, including HST.
Mover? Moved by Councillor Rager, second by Councillor Jackson. Janet?
Again, similar to the one of Community Services, however, in this case, a slightly different vehicle, and the low bid was to Blue Mountain Chrysler. The Public Works Supervisor and the mechanic both attended and went through all of the standards that we required, specifications, and we have agreed to approved equivalents. A few of them are noted there, and we do feel they are relatively minor in nature. As well, the other tender also had similar items. The total of the vehicle after HST is $35,970 plus change. This total comes in after rebate of about $10,000. Again, we do have those miscellaneous items that will have to be placed on the vehicle. I trust we will be taking our box and putting it over our toolbox. On occasion, we have required to purchase a new one, just depending on how we're moving our vehicles around, and again, some door signage.
Mayor Johnson.
I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. The second place person supports our community, and that's a long piece away to support Blue Mountain. And I just want to make that statement. I have always been an advocate of buy as close as you can, and so I just want to bring that statement forward.
Any other discussion? I think at the tender we did say that the servicing, Janet, would be done locally. Is that correct?
Servicing can be done at anywhere that deals with a RAM. It would be warranted that route, and the supplier is required to deliver to site.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, I will call for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. Next on the agenda is the tandem truck tender.
That Physical Services Committee recommend Council of Township of Whitewater Region award tender 2018-01 to Freightliner North Bay Bid B for the purchase of a 2018 Freightliner SD114 at a cost of $281,967.48, including HST.
Mover. Thank you, Mr. McCoy. Seconder? Councillor Jackson. Thank you. Janet?
We also tendered a tandem truck that closed. It's to replace the 2011 International 7600, which is presently known as Truck 20. We received 3 bids, 2 from Freightliner in North Bay, bid A and B. Bid B is the lowest bid. Again, our supervisor of roads and our mechanic went through the specifications, and it meets our specs. Includes HST as the total price. However, under the financial implications, we would like to note the price of $253,920 and change, which is just over $21,000 after rebate under our approved capital budget amount.
I'll go to Councillor Jackson first, and then
What
Mayor
was the
Johnson.
difference between bid A and bid B?
I would have to go through the tender specs, and what it often is a pre-built truck or different lengths of plow. Often, I don't have those. I can go through them and let you know. The guys went through it and didn't indicate one versus the other. They went through the low tender and it met specs.
And what about servicing?
Because it's Freightliner, I'm not sure who deals Freightliner. No Antrums, Sterling, International, Spring Valley. Depends on what it is for, but haven't had any undue problems with them. But I would have to again go back and check on the what it says within the warranty. But typically any Freightliner should be able to deal with it. I just don't know where the closest ones are.
I think North Bay is the closest,
Is it?
unfortunately. I just know that, you know, if you're sending up the truck or you're sending up staff, or how are they going to come and pick it up and deliver it? And
I do know there's some requirements in it to manage that, but it would depend on what the issue is, because not everything can be done in-house here.
right. And that's more my concern than the in-house stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Mayor Johnson.
Usually the difference in the price A and B is for the equipment on the truck. So it'll be the box, Jinkarvo or Frink, or not Frink, Frink's not existing anymore, but the different models. But that's what I was just interested in. Which equipment did we get?
I can take a moment, or I can provide, we can put this on hold and I can provide information prior to next meeting if, okay.
Yeah, sure, that's all. Because it's only out of interest. You're gonna get what you're gonna get anyway.
Okay, Rob.
Just a quick point that this is the fourth Freightliner, so the one we purchased last year and the two before it are all Freightliners as well, so we're getting a bit of a fleet of Freightliners.
Yeah, they're actually just another comment on that. The Freightliner have been proving out to be very good trucks throughout. So there's a pile of them out there now.
Councillor Mackay.
Is there not a Freightliner dealer in Ottawa? Yeah, so it's close to North Bay.
I believe there's a new one, it's close to Carp, when you cut down in that way. Is that not Freightliner now?
Yeah, I think you're right, on the Carp Road, the airport, the road.
Okay, can I ask you a question, Jan? Excuse me. Is there a time limit on this? Was there a time limit, do you know?
I believe we have 90 days that they must retain the tender price.
Well, no, I wasn't thinking that on delivery.
I will check. I've closed
Okay.
too many of them
Yeah.
to just state when
No,
it'll
no.
come in.
If you could, because that is a bit of a concern, because I think we've one that's been dragging along for quite a while.
Yes, we've received all of them except that sort of, I'll call it a 3-ton, that smaller vehicle, which we should, again, be receiving any day, but all our tandems are in that we ordered last year.
Yeah.
Again, it is quite a time. It's usually 9 to 10 months that they've stated to me to complete a new vehicle at this time. But I will definitely see if we have a date in there.
Okay. Rob?
The beauty of passing the budget in December and going out to tender in January, we tendered, I think, the tandems last year in May. So we're way ahead of the game. We're basically putting out the tender close to 6 months in advance, so we don't anticipate any problems with delivery.
Okay. No other discussion, then I'll call for a vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. The next item on the agenda is the tender of the backhoe.
The Fiscal Services Committee recommend Council of the Township of Whitewater Region award tender 2018-04 to Nortrax Canada Inc. for the purchase of a 2018 John Deere 310 SL at a cost of $140,470.30, including HST.
Mover? Moved by Councillor McCoy, second by Councillor Rager. Janet?
Okay, we've also tendered a backhoe last week and received our tenders back. It will replace our 2003 JCB 2014. We received 4 tendered prices. All were reasonably close in range. Toromont Cat, a Cat. Nortrax provides John Deere. J.R. Brisson is a Case. And Reese provide JCB. So the low price is the Nortrax, which is a 2018 John Deere 310 SL. The price including HST is $140,470.30. Again, under financial implications, I've provided after HST rebate. This comes in below the budgeted price by about $23,500 after HST rebate. So we've been fortunate. All of our vehicles have come in under budget, some very close, but nothing over budget. So again, we had the supervisor of roads and the mechanic go through the tenders and specifications and make their recommendation, which is the Nortrax John Deere vehicle.
Any other questions, concerns? Nothing? Nothing at all? Okay. Yes.
Janet kind of mentioned it, but the existing backhoe will be surplused. We think that it does have some value, i.e. it's not scrap metal. So once we're reviewing the surplus equipment policy to bring forward to council, and then we're anticipating bringing one bid amount when we do surplus it, the old backhoe.
Councillor Jackson.
When you do surplus it, will it be going on Gov Deals?
That's why we're reviewing the current policy to ensure that we get top dollar for any of the surplus equipment. And Gov Deals, I know, has been very successful by those municipalities who use it.
Very successful.
Any other comments? If not, I will call for the vote. All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried. And I think that ends Physical Services, and I'll turn it back to the mayor.
Are we at bylaws? Can we take like a 5-minute bio break?